Hello everyone, welcome to American Influencer Radio. I'm Shishi and that is spelled at XIXIYANG on Instagram. Make sure to follow me, show me some love. I'll hit you guys right back. I'm joined by my beautiful co-host Manal.
Hello.
Hey girl, where can people find you?
At Wake Up and Makeup and at Manal, that is MANAL.
Ooh, make sure to show her some love too. And today we are so excited because joining us is Luke Wessman, super talented makeup artist. Oh my goodness, I wish you guys can see. Oh, super talented. I'm so sorry, I called you a makeup artist. You are a tattoo artist, right?
I do make up some designs with people though.
Okay.
Maybe, so it's kind of
tattoo artist. It is still way early in the morning. Clearly my coffee is still kicking in. By the way, should we redo this? Let's redo it.
Yeah,
let's redo it. Yeah, sorry.
I think we've been interviewing
nothing but makeup artists.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
makeup artist. You were thinking
Thank
tattoo
God.
though.
Yeah.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to American Influencer Radio. I'm Shishi Yang, and that is at XIXIYANG on Instagram. Make sure you follow us at AIA Awards. Show us some love. And today I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Manal.
Hello, how you doing?
A good girl. It's still a little early, huh?
It's pretty early. We had a rough start in the morning. It's raining here. I nobody knows how to drive.
No, it's LA. And today, sitting next to us, we have a very special guest, a super talented tattoo artist, Luke Wessman. What's up, Luke? Thank you for coming.
Good morning, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I wish you guys could see all the tats on his body. They look so beautiful. Luke, how many tattoos do you have?
It's a, I always say I have one big one because
One big one.
it's beyond counting now, and they all kind of merge and touch.
Yeah.
So, if I had to guess, I would say 300 maybe. I don't know.
Oh my God.
But it's one big one because they're all bumping into each other all over my body, from my head to my toe.
I have to ask, how old were you when you got your first tattoo?
16.
16.
Yeah.
And what was it?
My last name across my back. So it was like I grew up in like a rough neighborhood, and it was kind of like what the cool gangster guys were doing. So I tried to do that.
Just in case you forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so walk us through. You were 16 years old, you walked into a tattoo parlor and you were like, you know what, I'm gonna get my last name tatted on there. What did your parents say when you came home?
Well, it wasn't quite like that. It was a friend's house in his apartment, sitting on an egg crate, and I think pretty much in any state it's illegal under 18. I'm pretty sure. So the guy knew my parents, and he was like, "I'm not gonna get in trouble for tattooing you, am I?" And I'm like, "No, it's totally fine." And then it begun. It begun there. I never stopped getting them.
The addiction started.
Did you ever regret any tattoo that you have?
You know what? As a tattooed person, you kind of train yourself not to think like that.
Okay.
You kind of have to own it almost. But I definitely would have done a lot different. I would have got probably a lot nicer stuff. I would have researched more. But when I started, there wasn't really Instagram or Google or any of that.
Pinterest.
Yeah, so you really had to search, physically go to a shop, try to look through people's work and decipher if it was good or not.
Right.
So a lot of trial and error in my early life. And then now that I'm out of space, I know all the best guys in the world and girls, and don't have any room for their work. But
Correct. But trends are always changing anyway, and I feel like no matter when you get a tattoo, trends will always change, so we will always feel like we would have done something different.
Yeah, totally.
That's kind of like my take on art.
Yeah.
I feel like art is such a form of expression of the things that you're going through at that time.
Absolutely.
That's why some of the most beautiful paintings are done historically at a time of war, when people are going through stuff. That's where they express their emotions.
Yep.
So I think art is a beautiful form, and we'll always feel like it's outdated, but it's actually beautiful when you think of the timing that you did it in.
Yeah,
and
that's
meant
a
something to you.
great perspective. I always say if trends are going to come and go, but if you get a
Correct.
good tattoo done, technically sound, it's going to be good forever.
Exactly.
Regardless of if it's an owl or a
Yeah,
infinity sign or an
Yeah.
arrow or whatever. If it's
Yeah.
done good, it's a good tattoo.
exactly.
It
And it meant
really is.
something to you at some point.
Yeah, absolutely, which is important. Even when people come up and they try to get maybe a tramp stamp covered up, I'm not against them. I think that they got a bad rap. I think the terms kind of screwed everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's a great place for a tattoo, aesthetically on the body and everything, but that term killed it for everybody.
Stereotype.
It really did. It really did.
But a lot of times you go, oh, I got, people come up and they're like, I got this in college and I was with my girlfriends and I just want to cover it up. And I'm like, are you sure? I mean, that's a beautiful time in your life. That little crappy tat reminds you of that drunk night with the girls or whatever.
Those hazy days you couldn't remember how you got home.
I'm just saying there's value in that. And it doesn't have to be a perfect piece of art.
There really is, yeah. I want to know how many people... Do you have an idea of how many people total that come to you and said, Lou, can you help me cover up the tattoo of my ex-lover?
Oh, yeah.
We're not really
That
get a lot of that? Yeah? And what do you do?
I mean, you try to cover it up if you can.
Okay.
Or change the word. I have a funny story. I have an ex-girlfriend's name on me on my ribs, and her name was Holly. And I always joked when I was with her that I would get wood added to the end, Hollywood. So years went by, and
oh my gosh!
And I did get wood. And so if I show it, it says Hollywood, and you can tell the lettering's different from Holly to wood.
I feel like you thought about that before you got Holly tatted on your body. You thought what's the worst that can happen? I turn it into Hollywood.
Yeah.
Back up.
The joke became reality.
Oh man,
manifested that one.
Yeah.
But I have to ask another question. Have you ever had a customer that you actually had to decline because you weren't comfortable doing what they asked?
Yeah, I do that somewhat often.
Oh, really?
I think I've been tattooing 20 years, so I have a little bit of the old guy mentality in the business. And, and in that, it becomes a little bit of policing and saving people from themselves.
Okay.
And so there's this interesting line between the old culture where you're keeping people from getting their hands and their face and their neck tattooed.
Right.
One for... I always say the rite of passage, like you work your way to those points.
Right.
And then also we used to call them job stoppers.
Oh.
So nowadays the world is a lot more lenient with tattoos and visible tattoos, but I think as an artist it feels like it's still my duty to kind of educate them and tell them, one, the rite of passage thing, because it's cool to work your way to these visible spots for yourself or your life, whatever you're doing in your life. And then the other just for, still being able to get a job. It's not completely open game, so... I do turn people down for certain things. Not really for subject matter as much. Like I won't do obviously anything racist or in that sense. But placement, I'm a little more critical of. If they're not heavily tattooed. Like someone emails me and I ask them if they want a hand or a neck. I say, do you have arm tattoos at least? Are you covered in some sense?
Right.
So and that's my way to gauge what I think we should or should not go overboard, because they don't know if they want to be in that life yet, but then all of a sudden they're just going to jump into the hand and look like that out in the world.
Right.
And quicker regrets that way.
Yeah.
And just feel bad about getting
Yeah, because there is a lot of impulse in tattoos sometimes too, because you are going through stuff sometimes for a breakup or something, and you want to just get something crazy.
Right.
Did you guys ever see the that Drake tattoo on the girl's forehead?
Yes,
That
it
was
was
pretty
awful.
extreme.
Oh my gosh, it was right across her
I
forehead.
did not see that.
Unreal. The
Unreal.
whole forehead.
Unreal.
I wonder if she regrets that yet.
I know, I wonder.
What can you turn Drake into if she grows out of the Drake phase?
Ever
She's
since,
got
That's gonna be
bangs out.
hard,
ever since
right?
he became a baby daddy. I wonder if that's changed.
So that's an instance where if someone came to me for that and they were not incredibly heavily tattooed, I would definitely turn them down.
Okay. So what about if you have someone who wants a tattoo and you being a tattoo artist, you obviously have to have some type of integrity for your creativity. If they wanted something that is just really ugly at the end of the day, that you don't feel comfortable putting your name on that type of work, would you turn them down too?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, people have brought oh, my brother or my sister drew this, and it's just kind of like a bad piece of art. And I mean, it's hard to say it's a bad piece of art because it's someone's artwork and it's subjective.
But some are bad.
But some are just really bad, and I don't want to put my name on it. And I'll say that hey, I can change this a little bit for you and maybe enhance it to make it a better tattoo. And I could try to work with them that way, but once in a while I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm just not the guy for you.
How old were you when you started tattooing?
I was right about 20.
20?
Yeah, 19 or 20.
And what was the first piece of work you did?
The first piece of work I did was on my own legs. I did
Oh.
one leg, one
No.
night. I got all the stuff, and I set up in my little room,
Oh my
and
God.
I tattooed one of above my knees on this side, and then I was so excited. It was just, I had gotten a lot of tattoos, and I've been in it. I was an apprentice, but it was my first time actually doing it, so it was really exciting. And then the next night, I did some on the other leg.
Oh my God.
And then started there, and this is the best, you can really reach the top of your knee
Right,
usually, so those were my first two, and then I remember doing my older brother on his arm, and I was so nervous.
My gosh.
Did you find it was more painful doing it on yourself or getting it done by somebody else?
It's kind of both. It's really hard to do yourself because you're basically like
Right.
cutting yourself.
And you also see it coming.
Yeah.
Like, you know it's
Yeah.
about to happen, so you're already like kind of.
Okay, so I can't even curl the back of my own hair, right? And I'm deathly scared of needles, which is why I hate getting the flu shot. I hate shots in general. And obviously, I've always fantasized about having a tattoo, but I'm just scared of needles. Like, how are you able to do it on yourself while feeling the pain and making sure that you can't shake? Otherwise, the art's gonna be messed up.
Well, doing it on myself was easy because the idea that if I messed up, it was no big deal. It's me. And it's
okay.
so that helps like kind of like get through that. But then when I was doing my brother's tattoo, I mean the realization of like this is permanent for him. He's bleeding a little bit, like all that made me really nervous. And then for the first couple of years, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but I'm trying to do this. And I think that fear, it was like a healthy fear because it kind of gave me like a respect for how serious it was.
I was watching a YouTube channel once and I saw people practicing on banana peels and oranges. Is that really a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done it, but nowadays there's just so much more young people coming into the industry, and there's a lot of that going on. And I mean, it's a better way to practice than on your friends, really.
That's true.
I did it with my friends.
Did you lose any friends?
I didn't, but I don't want to see them sometimes because I don't want to see the old work.
Man, they must be real friends for you to let them,
Yeah.
for you to practice on them for free.
So I'm trying to I've been with this girl now for a year that I'm with now, and then I'm trying to get her to tattoo me on our anniversary. And she's so nervous, and so she's asking, can I try it out on a grapefruit or something before? And so I'll probably bring a grapefruit. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm not expecting it to be great. I just want it from you because I want that moment with you.
Right,
Oh, that's
and it
so
means
sweet.
something. And when you look back at it, like you said, it doesn't matter what it is or what it looks
Yeah.
like. It's
Yeah.
a story.
It's perfect.
And
Wait, do you do that to all your girlfriends?
No.
No?
she must be special.
She must be real special. He's like, some girls just get the treatment of a first name that I eventually turn into something else later, but I'm letting you do the work on me. Yeah. Now, you talk a lot about the lifestyle of having tattoos, and I'm curious to hear your lifestyle. What was it like, just growing up in kind of a rough environment and really having to fight for respect? You grew up in Tennessee?
Well, I was born in Tennessee.
Born in Tennessee,
but then,
okay.
My parents hitchhiked to California.
Oh,
So I grew up in Southern California when I was a
Okay.
baby from my early years till like my 20s. San Diego and cities that are up and down San Diego's county.
Okay.
But it was interesting then because it was like, I always say it was like armor for me. I don't know, a lot of people get it because of the art nowadays or they want to express themselves, but for me it was really like protection, which is a weird thing to say. But I just grew up around a lot of ruffians, and I was a skinny white kid. And for me, I just wanted to look meaner because back then you looked like you'd been to prison. If you had black and gray tattoos, you looked like a criminal.
Right.
Those were kind of like what people thought of first. Now they think of art and who did it and where'd you get it and that's beautiful and all this. But back then it was like, oh, that guy must have been to prison or something.
Right.
So
You wanted to set the tone basically, like don't mess with me.
exactly. And so
Okay.
yeah, so that's how it started. It was it didn't work.
It's interesting.
I don't think I ever looked that mean, but I got into tattooing that way and started collecting them and getting them all the time. And then fast forward, I owned a shop for 10 years in downtown San Diego. As a young guy in my 20s, and then I got asked to work at a shop called Miami Ink. And back then I worked with like Kat Von D, who was big in the makeup
That's where I
world.
heard Miami.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I used to watch the show all the time.
That was right when she started out, and so got into that shop, which was just great for the business because it was really wide open to the world about tattooing and why people got them. It changed like perception, I think, of tattooing.
Right.
And then from there I went to New York and we tried another show called New York Ink. And I helped them open that one, and that was a smaller one. And then now I kind of came back to California and slowed down a little bit. And now I do a lot of stuff outside of tattooing. Like I just did a big event for Urban Decay. I
Nice.
did a pop-up tattoo shop when they released the Naked Cherry palette.
Yes, I was looking at people
Yeah.
get cherries.
Yeah,
tied
I
on
was
them.
doing them. It was me. It
Oh
was
my
a great
God.
event. It was a great
That's
event.
so funny. And I thought that was really, really cool because Urban Decay is kind of like this grungy brand that I absolutely love. That they're my favorite makeup line amongst
Their
all
products
makeup
are
lines.
so good.
Their products are amazing,
Yes.
pigments are amazing. So to tie in that part of the personality that I kind of sense of Urban Decay with the whole tattoo and the denim vibe.
The
that they always have going on.
lifestyle.
Yeah, I think
Perfect.
it's a great collaboration.
Yeah, so we did tons of cherries, and I did a whole flash sheet, and then the clients picked up. It was all influencers pretty much because it was invite only to the event.
Right.
And I thought, oh, I wonder if there's gonna be like anybody getting tattooed. It's like kind of a weird environment.
Right.
We built a really cool tattoo
Right.
studio in the event,
Right.
and there was like about 100 people that wanted to get them, and we only got to 30 because we just had a little hour or 3-hour block to
Yeah,
do it.
right.
We just couldn't get to them all.
Yeah.
It was so
Wow.
great. It was a big
That's
success.
amazing because I would probably think I'm a Gemini, so I'm very indecisive. So even if I want to commit to a tattoo, I probably will regret it the next day because I want it to change. The only reason why I wouldn't get one is because I'm constantly like changing and evolving, and I know I'm gonna eventually be like, oh, I regret that. But like I even said earlier, it doesn't matter what it is, it's a story, and you have to. I guess it's all about perspective and how.
I'm really beginning to understand that too, because life is constantly evolving. Life is never ending, right? I mean, well, you know, we all eventually die, but it constantly changes, and I think it's really all about your perception on how you want to live your life, right? Do we look back on certain chapters and do we have regrets, or do we just accept that it's part of life and just keep growing and keep changing, like certain tattoos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific type of aesthetic or theme of how you tattoo? Because I know there are some people that specifically do like line work, like really, really skinny lines. So do you have something that you strive to always do?
So I kind of grew up around like the gangster tattoos, like black and gray fine line.
Okay.
You know, that was right when I started. But then I ended up learning how to tattoo at a shop that was very classic, traditional, like Sailor Jerry style with bold lines and colors. So I kind of had a good mix starting out. And then I really got into the bold stuff because I just thought it was like stronger and it held longer and it really lasted a lifetime. Whether the difference would be something like the real fine line stuff kind of fades really easily.
Right.
Some of it. But also being an older tattooer, most of us have been really diverse. So any good tattooer can do a very thin, fine one, classic old school one, or a realistic one. I think nowadays with the younger generation, they've broken off into like, this is the one thing that I do. But back in my day, sounds old, you really had to be diverse. You worked in shops that people came in for all different types of things, and you wanted to give them beautiful work. And so you didn't really have that weird specialty. It was just like good tattoos, treat people good.
Right.
And they come back because they're happy, you know.
Is there a body part that actually fades quicker or something?
Yeah.
That you could probably advise people on who want to get a new tattoo?
You know, fingers,
Oh.
which are very popular
Yep.
with the ladies. They fade the most because of the skin rejuvenates so much
Oh, okay.
that anywhere where the skin is rejuvenating that quick, the tattoo ink doesn't set. It doesn't settle as much.
Ah.
So, you know, you get the tops of the hands, but then as you get down to the fingers and get to the palm, that's where it really can start to fade. So you
Right.
see a lot of faded finger tattoos. And it's not even the
Yes.
artist's fault necessarily, it's just the skin.
It's just the skin.
But there are artists that really have great techniques and they know how to make it stay. But yeah, anything like palm, obviously the bottom of the foot,
Right.
and then like elbow and, you know, places where the skin is not as tight and it has a lot more elasticity.
Yeah.
Those places are a little bit more difficult to get it like crisp.
Where hurts the most?
That's under debate. I think it's it's the spot you're getting it at the time. For me.
That makes sense.
Or the spot you're doing it on yourself on?
Yeah. But you know, the ribs and the sternum and I think
Where it's closer to the bone.
it's not necessarily the bone, and that's I think a misconception. I think that
I
you
see.
feel it a little more uniquely close to the bone.
Oh, I
But the nerve endings are just right under the skin no matter what.
True.
So some areas are a little more prevalent, but thick or thin, they hurt, you know?
Right.
They hurt most people. Some people say they don't. I don't know why they say that.
Yeah, they're
I
lying.
think they do. I've proven it.
Now, what are some like stereotypes or myths about tattoos that you just want to debunk that are just completely not true from your years of doing this?
Okay, I'll do the one, the face tattoo. You know, so often do I get, did you kill somebody? Obviously, if you look a little closer, it's just a cross, but you know, people thought the teardrop is for murder.
Right.
And I think in different settings, maybe different prisons, it might have different meanings. But mostly, there's no harsh meaning with the face tattoo.
Right.
Other than you're just a little crazier than most people.
Right. Right.
More daring.
But I don't know. I've never been a champion for trying to save anything, and so as far as like tattooers or tattooing, everybody represents it their own way and represents what they're wearing their own way, and the stereotypes, some are true,
Like what?
What kind of stereotypes? I mean, obviously you get the prison one. It's still there.
So you have a teardrop. You may or may not have killed someone.
Or just in general, like the guy's been to prison.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's really easy to judge someone, but I think it's more in the eyes than in like what their body looks like. You can tell when someone's like a criminal.
Right, for sure.
So their demeanor overall and presence, and you could just feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Manal and I were actually noticing your full sleeves, right, on your arms. Even though they're covered, they look so aesthetically pleasing, and it's almost like they tell the same story. How did you manage to do that over time, instead of all the pieces looking so disruptive, like it doesn't come together?
For me, it was they all were kind of done a lot around the same time, so they all aged together. So there wasn't like really bright ones versus old ones. The other was just a lot of the style that I got on my arms. Like if I had my shirt or my pants off, you'd see a lot of different styles. Because as I started to become a real serious collector, I wanted different styles from different artists. So, but the arms happened to all kind of be at a certain period of time. I got a lot done about 20 years ago from a couple similar artists. But if you look closely, there's a lot of crazy stuff. I even have like second layer tattoos, so there's stuff on top of old ones.
Wow.
But yeah, thank you. I made some good choices. I wanted to get crazy stuff, and luckily I didn't. I wanted to get like flames up my arms. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I luckily went with this timeless, traditional style that I'm not regretting at all.
Who's your favorite tattoo artist that you look up to for inspiration?
I have a few. There's so many good guys, but there's this guy, Chris Garver in New York. He used to work on Miami Ink. He's just an incredible artist, and then translates it into tattooing really well.
Wow.
And then there's people that are really good, but also great humans, and that makes me love them even more. Like Tim Hendricks and Garver, Hendricks, Sky Regino. There's so many. There's so many. And it's and there's so many new ones. Every time I look on Instagram, there's like a whole new page of somebody doing phenomenal work, and I'm like, holy shit.
I love it. And obviously doing tattoos has not only transformed your life, but it's given you so many opportunities, like working with different brands like Urban Decay. And I hear that you have a skincare line in the works. Tell us about that. How did you make the transition, and what's happening with that?
How much time do you got? I'll tell you.
Oh, we got all day. We got as long as you have.
Well, about 4 years ago, I had my disc in my lower disc in my back went out just from tattooing, leaning over people for that long.
Oh my God.
And I flew to Germany, where I had been recommended by a friend, and I got a disc replacement in my spine. And up until that point, I was just hurting, and I was still tattooing, but I was leaning over people. Got it fixed, but then at that time I realized I can't just work only on people all day with my hands. I need to have a product or something if I want to have a sustainable income in case I get hurt again or whatever. So the idea came to mind, and then in a travel, I was stuck on a layover in Paris, and I was coming back from a convention, and I met this lady named Patty, who was coming back from a makeup convention. It was in Milan. I forget the name of it. It's a big one in Milan. And
Cosmoprof?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Whatever the big Milan one was.
Oh, okay.
And we were just in line, and we started talking about what we did and stuff like that. We just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And she was like, I work in the beauty care industry, and I have a podcast, and I just hit it off with her and ended up doing her podcast like a year later, and then we just stayed in touch. And then she contacted me about possibly working together on a brand, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. So then we started formulating a tattoo aftercare brand that we're still working on now. It's called Honor. Working on a few key products and just stuff that I would want to use and I would want my clients to use. So we're about a year in to, it's a lot of work.
Right,
just
it really is.
A lot of research, like trial and error. Had my friends testing out, all the different products, and been testing it myself. So yeah, that's coming.
I can't wait. And that makes so much sense because you're already the expert on skin, right? I mean, what is more intimate than the human flesh? What do you like to do? Do you like, are there anything that you like to use that's part of your skincare routine?
I'm really terrible with my skin. I've beaten it up over the years, but I've done a lot of work with Kiehl's, and they've given me some products that I like, Midnight Recovery and a couple other things that I've used.
Yes, Midnight Recovery
they tell me to use,
so good.
And they say, make sure you're using sunblock on your face, and so I have a couple things that I'm trying to be more, as I've gotten a little bit older, in my late 30s, I'm trying to be a little more on it. But I grow the beard and hides most of the face, so.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
That's really cool. And what do you hope that the skincare line will accomplish?
Well, the interesting thing with tattooing is we're working with skin every day as artists, and there is no standard for care.
Yes,
There's
that's so true.
Every artist tells someone something different, and there's some similarities, but nothing in industry that is for the industry. There's a lot of the stuff that's being told to the clients to use is stuff that you can buy at any pharmacy, and it's not really tattoo specific. And so just been trying to work on a product that's tattoo specific for us, by us, for our clients, and not just some random, big drug company that's trying to market off tattooing.
Right.
I've been living in the culture myself for 25 years, getting them and working with it. So I'm trying to parlay that into some practical skincare that's really tested and needed. So I'm trying to set the standard.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to set the standard for aftercare that has not been set.
Very cool. Well, best of luck
Thank
to you and Patty. And I can't wait to get my hands on some of those products, right, Manal?
Absolutely. But when I get my tattoo.
I know, yes.
When you're ready.
Yeah,
When
and
I'm
neither me nor Manal has any tattoos. What would you tell first-timers who want to go and get a tattoo?
Like advice you would give.
Yeah.
The best advice is to utilize social media platforms and to really research the work, because as you start to look at it, you start to get a taste for what's good, or at least what's good to you.
Right.
Aside from just walking into a random shop and not knowing what you're going to get,
Right.
you have the beautiful opportunity to use Instagram and online and Google, and you can really research a little bit of the artist, whether it be just the artist that you really like them or you like them and their work, because I think there should be a marriage between that.
Okay.
But I would just say do research and obviously ask friends, and you're going to get recommendations. That's not always the most accurate, but if you start to look, you can kind of start to really see what's good and what's not. But it takes a little bit of time. It's almost like learning the language,
Right.
Right.
because at face value, you don't know. You just figure if someone's heavily tattooed, they probably know what they're talking about. And
Right.
that's not even true.
Right.
You would hope that if they spend enough time in the culture that they know. But
Right.
research a lot. Look a lot. Look for the good ones. Look for the good guys and girls out there. There's so many good ones close to here in LA and even probably in this city.
Yeah.
What city is this exactly?
Oh,
Did
this
we
is
say?
Valencia,
Valencia.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Valencia. Yep. And what's speaking of social media, what is the number of clients who come in through Instagram versus word of mouth?
Just a ratio.
Yeah.
I would say 2/3 are from social media platforms.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
I started to see the power of that when Twitter and Instagram came out years ago, and I just jumped on the platform and thought it was cool to use. Great place to put your work and have other people see it. I was going to Australia for the first time, and I posted, "Hey, I'm going to be in Australia," and got there and had tons of work, and I was like, "Whoa!" Instant power here. Not power, but just
Yeah, no, it is power in a way.
And so I use it a lot.
Right.
It's gotten difficult though with all the algorithm stuff that's going on.
Algorithms,
Really a
the
bummer.
saturation,
Yeah.
more people putting out their work, it's definitely harder. However, if you have an aesthetic and that kind of resonates with a person who wants to get it done, I think you have a client forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where can our listeners follow you on Instagram?
Just my full name, Luke Wessman Luke Wessman.
Luke Westman.
At Luke Wessman.
Beautiful.
2 S's, no T.
Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to American Influencer Radio. Make sure to follow us at AIA Awards on Instagram for so much more. I'm Shishi Yang, checking out with Manal.
Yep, and that's it for today.
Thank you, ladies.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.